Shalom, 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 brothers and sisters. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah, Chatsamea, Yom. Sukkot is the day of Sukkot. These days are 7 days of festivals. These days are that we ought to celebrate to the Creator, how great the Creator is. And these days of festivals, our Creator is asking us and commanded us to be rejoiced. Is basically a command, not a suggestion, but rather a command. We ought to be happy no matter what the circumstances are. We ought to be happy, and I'm very happy to say that as well. We're just going to talk a little bit about Sukkot, and we're going to delve a little bit into what this festival is all about and what is yielding towards the future with our Mashiach. These 7 days also has a lot to do with our fruits, what kind of deeds we are bearing to the Creator. And so let's jump into it. Right before we start, I do want to ask you again, if you have not subscribed, please do so you can get the latest productions. I'm actually coming out with a lot of festival music. I just gave a little bit of a taste of music on Sukkot. I'm going to bring more for in English, of course, and Hebrew that is coming soon. So let's jump into it. The festival of Sukkot is very important to all of us because our Creator, when we celebrate these festivals, it's not just to celebrate. It's a rehearsal for us. Remember, our Mashiach is yet to be returned. So he's returning very soon. So we need to be prepared in such a way that we need to rehearse these festivals, because this rehearsement, this rehearsal, I should say, it will be executed when Mashiach and when our Father Yahweh will come to pass. So let's jump into it right now. As I was saying earlier, one of the things about the Torah, it's how the Creator's really looking out for us. Leviticus, or Vayikra 23 verse 34, tell the children of Israel, on the 15th day of the 7th month at the festival Sukkot, for 7 days to Yahweh. These 7 days are for us to dwell in tents, to dwell in a sukkah. This sukkah is sort of like the one behind me. This sukkah ought to be amazing individually or for family. It doesn't really matter. The point is that we need to dwell in a sukkah, and it's because the Creator is so great to us. He wants us to acknowledge Him such a way that we need to experience what our forefathers experienced, and that is when they dwell also as in tents. Book of Deuteronomy 6:6. These words which I am commanding you today shall be upon your heart. You should diligently teach them to your children. You should talk to when they are to sit on your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. We see pretty much that in this Shema, there is a reason why the Shema, it is every single day. And it's for us to acknowledge the Creator every day, and how the Creator is giving us the ability to acknowledge Him throughout the Torah, and also to teach our children, to our next generation, how the Creator is such a great that He's giving us the ability also to celebrate these festivals, and because there is always something meaningful on these festivals that we need to take into account. Psalms 40 verse 8, to do your will, Almighty, Ayil, is my joy. Your Torah is the deepest part. It is in the deepest part of my heart. The desire of David, the desire of our forefathers to serve the Creator is nothing like we can ever imagine. We need to be the same compass. We need to be the same level of desire how we want to serve the Creator, especially in these peril times. I don't really get tired of saying this, but we live in a society that don't really care anything about the Creator. They don't really care anything about the scriptures. They're more into the world. They're more into the desires of what the world basically offer. Money, cars, jobs that are very desirable. Don't get me wrong, those things are fine, but the priority always should be the Creator no matter what, especially in these festivals when we ought to take certain days off. For example, the first day of SUKKOT is considered a Shabbat, like a regular Shabbat, but it's considered a festival Shabbat. And we need to take those days off. I usually ask for these days in a year in advance so I don't have to get into problems with the workplace. And I also take the last festivals, which is Shemini Atzeret, which is coming very soon. All these festivals we need to advance to our workplaces, so we need to take some time for the Creator because the Creator's asking us to do so. So, our Creator, Proverbs 3:1, my son, do not forget my Torah. Keep my commandments in your heart. Keep my commandments, and I want you to look at me when I say this, here. The problem is that we can say, yeah, I do remember it's a holiday, it's a festival. Yeah, but that's all there is to it for a lot of people. But they don't actually execute. When you execute, you can actually see the emunah. You can actually see the faith, the steadiness of that person that does not falter no matter what. Because when you did the action, you actually see the deeds. It's walk to walk and do the do, right? All these things are very, very crucial in a Hebrew life. Now, let me just make sure that when we talk about the festivals, it's not just for certain people, it's for every single one of us. Our Creator is telling every single one of us to be rejoiced, to have simcha. The book of Deuteronomy 16 verse 14, rejoice in your festival. You, your sons, your daughters, your male, your female servants, your Levites, your foreigners, orphans, and widows who live among you. Every single Israeli Hebrew supposed to have simcha, supposed to have happiness, rejoice. The problem is that we are so aggravated by our workplace, by our friends, by the world indeed, by the COVID, by the virus, by everything around us afflicted us. But we have to take into account that Creator is above everything that we can just mention. We need to be have a priority in our lives, especially when it comes to keeping Torah. And I do want to, some of these things that I want to say. SUKKOT, it's a festival that we need to be in the sukkah. We need to sleep in the sukkah, in the tent, for 7 days. These 7 days, our Creator is making our senses, our thoughts, our thinking process to realize that we are not forever, that we are just passing through, that we are not invincible, that we depend upon our Creator, that we are not forever because we don't know anything about tomorrow. We think that we do, but we don't. We don't know if we're going to wake up tomorrow. So when you are in the actual tent, you actually think about it. Wow, this tent is removable. This tent is just temporary. Our bodies are temporary. Shaul says that this sukkah, this tent, will be seized. So the Creator is bringing us a heavenly body that will last forever and ever. But right now, we are in a fleshly state, flesh and blood. When Mashiach returns, will give us a different body. Now, switching to a different gear, book of Exodus or Shemot, 23 verse 16, celebrate the festival of harvest, the first fruits of the crops you saw in the field, and also the festivals of the gathering at the end of the year when you gather the crops from your field. There are two places here where you gather certain things. The first one is the harvest. The first fruits of the crops, which happens to be the grain, the barley, the wheat. That's the first one. Usually happens around Shavuot, the festival of Pentecost. And the second around at the year's end, which is half a year, is the festival of the gathering, which is Sukkot. And that's where you gather all the fruits. This is the time. That's why you see so much fruits right behind me. You see a lot of fruits because this is the season of the gathering fruits. All this has a very significance in the scriptures. But once again, we need to take into account all these things when we see it in a very, I should say, prophetic level. This sukkah, once again, has to be adorned. There's reasons why the Creator is asking us to adorn this sukkah, because every fruit happens to be our deeds. How our deeds are depend on how we are with every single day with our Creator. Now, look at what the Mashiach says about the ingathering. Chapter 13, verse 30. Let them go together, the harvest, and when I send the reapers gather their harvest, they will gather first the weeds and bind them in bundles to burn them. And then they will store the wheat in my barn. Two different timings, two different places. Two times, two events that are so different one and another. The first one is the weed. The weed, it happens to be is when you checked and you can make a comparison between the wheat and the weed are two different things. They look alike. The difference between one another, the weed is the one that looks like the wheat but does not have any grain inside. But the wheat does. That's where you get the bread, right? But the point here is that there's a lot of people that look that they are doing something for the Creator. They keep in Torah, but in the reality, they're not. They look like they're Israelis. They look like they're Hebrews, but they're not. Their deeds are totally different from what they profess. We need to be very careful when it comes to that, because Mashiach says, and let's look at two events here, very, very crucial. He says here that the weeds are going to be bound in bundles and they will be burned, which is called the Rasha, people who are Torah breakers. When Mashiach returns, he will gather them and burn them, which happens to come one point. If you guys know the theory or the myth of the rapture talks about in the Christian world arenas and also the Messianic one as well. They claim that Mashiach will come and will take them with all, including the shoes, with them. And then the rest are going to be left on earth wandering around where their loved ones went. Totally false, because this myth came from the Vatican, came from the Jesuits. In another time, I will bring that into a shiur, a Torah teaching. Now, the second event says where the wheat, the tzaddikim, the righteous, will be put in a certain place, in a barn. In Shemini Atzeret, I will bring that out. But the point here is there will be two different events, two different timings. Now, I want to talk about something very, very important. Let's talk about the negative on this occasion. One of the reasons why the Creator scattered the northern kingdom is because of their disobedience to our Creator Yahweh. Yahweh kept telling our forefathers about keeping the Torah in many ways, many different patterns, and yet our forefathers disobey the Creator straight up. And let me give you an examples of it. The book of Jeremiah 31:14, at the end of the 6 years, each of you must release your Hebrew brother who been sold to you as he has served for you 6 years. You should let them go free, but their parents did not listen or pay any attention. What does it mean by that? When the Creator say, the parents did not listen or pay any attention. Very simple. Our forefathers were very, very stubborn, very hard-headed. And one of the reasons why our Creator scattered them or among the nations is for the same reason where they supposed, one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons is because here it gives an example. They are supposed to release their brother who they sold themselves to them, and they served for 6 years. Here's what is called the Shemitah. The Shemitah is that every 7 years they are released to their duties. But they just kept them as a slave for as long as they could. And therefore, our Father, Yahweh, gave a judge. Look what it says here, Jeremiah 34:17. Therefore, here's what Yahweh says. You have not obeyed me in proclaiming liberty, each to his brother or each to his neighbor. So now I proclaim to you liberty, says Yahweh, for the sword, pestilence, and famine. I will make your horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. And that is one of the reasons why our Creator sent all these judgments to our forefathers, for the main reason of disobedience. Now, I do want to switch to something similar, and this happens to be today, that we are doing the same thing as it was. Ecclesiastes 1:9. What it was, it will be again. The past repeats itself. The same pattern. A lot of people are doing so. They come from the Christian world across into the Hebrew roots. But they start doing a lot of similar things that our forefathers did when they were disobedient to our Father Yahweh and His Torah. Let me give you examples, okay? Look at what it says here, Jeremiah 2:20. Because long ago you broke your yoke. When you broke your chains, you said, I will not serve you yet. In every hill, under every shady tree, I will go to fulfill my desire, my deprivation, my moral desires, or immoral desires, I should say. This fornication that they did was nothing but idolatry. They went to the hills, to the mountains to do so. And we know for a fact that they serve the Asherah. The Asherah is a post or demons. They summon demons there. They did a lot of weird stuff that they still do today in secret societies. But another thing that I do want to mention is that today is repeat the same thing. A lot of Messianic congregations, they go to the hills, they go to the parks, they go to the mountains to keep the SUKKOT. And it's a no-no from the Creator because there is no such evidence in the scriptures where our Creator says that we ought to go to the mountains, to the hills, to the parks to fulfill this mitzvah, to fulfill this command. There's nowhere in the scriptures. Let me show you where should we keep this festival. Where? Nehemiah 8:14, they found written in the Torah that Yahweh have commanded through Moshe that the children of Israel have lived in Sukkot during the feast of the 7th month. This is what they found after 70 years of captivity of exile from Israel. So they found this, and this is what they did. Let me fast forward. Nehemiah 8:15. And when they would sound the shofar in all the cities and in Jerusalem, and Ezra the Kohen said, "Go to the mountains, but don't stay there, and gather olive branches, wild olives, palm branches, and other lifted trees to make Sukkot according to what was written." This is what he commanded them, to go to the mountains, but not stay there. Come back, because you will make your sukkah here. Where? Exactly what's going on today in Israel. They make their sukkah even in their balcony. That's how amazing Israel is when it comes to this festival. You see that here? We need to be the same thing, at least learn the basics of how we can keep the sukkah. Look at what it says, verse 16. So the people went out, brought it, and make sukkah for themselves, each one on the roof of their houses, and also in the courtyards of the house of Yahweh, on the open space by the gate of Ephraim. There's a reason why it says the gate of Ephraim. Brothers and sisters, we need to copy the same thing. I'll tell you this, and I uploaded a video that I was making my sukkah here at home in the backyard, because we need to copy the good things of our forefathers, not the bad things. Not go to their mountains and do the same as the nations do. We need to be very, very, very careful when it comes to those details. Now, there is a command that Yahweh says very, very clearly. In the book of Acts 15, 16, and 18, after this I will return and rebuild the sukkah, the booth of David, which was fallen. I will rebuild its ruins and raise it up again, so that the remnant of men may seek Yahweh, and all the Gentiles or the nations on whom my name is called, says Yahweh, who does these things, known from infinity. So this sukkah that is being falling is being rebuilt, is being lifted up by us today. We need to continue this task on keeping these festivals the better every year, even better than what this year was. Next year should be even way better. We need to advance. We need to make the Creator great again. We need to rebuild the sukkah of our father David. This is what the Creator wants from all of us, to uplift our Mashiach, give him the real name, Yahushua. And one last thing, and I will close. 23:36 of this sukkah, the SUKKOT, for 7 days he will bring an offering made by fire to Yahweh. What does it mean when Yahweh says you should bring a fire offering to me for 7 days? What does it mean today in this era? This is what it means. Proverbs 20, verse 27. A human ruach is like a candle of Yahweh. It proves the deepest part of the being. This is what our Creator wants for these 7 days. This is what He wants us. As Mashiach said one time, the real seekers, the real worshipers, you should search in truth and in ruach, in the spirit, and in truth. We need to do the same thing all these 7 days. These 7 days are so great, or rejoice, because the Creator is great. He has given us something that we do not deserve, and that's life. May Yahweh find Rachem, mercy towards us in these days, and we may rejoice in these days because they are so, so great. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We'll see you next time. Please subscribe if you have not, and we'll see you next time. I will be giving more shuri, more Torah teachings among these days. I'll see you soon. Shalom, shalom.